All right, if you've stuck it out with the Netflix series Sweet Tooth, the third and final season, it's now here. There's been a lot of traveling and walking within the show so far. So will this concluding season bring everything to a satisfying close? Having defeated General Abbot in the battle at Pubba's cabin, Gus, Jep, Becky, and Wendy embark on a journey to Alaska in search of Gus's mother, who's been working to uncover the mysterious origins of the deadly sick. With the clock to find answers running out, alliances are tested and destinies intertwine, all leading to a thrilling climax that will determine the fate of humanity and hybrids. So for the show, I was intrigued with Season 1, but Season 2 didn't really click with me in a fully engaging way. But I was very hopeful that this final offering would find its groove and deliver some fun adventure and drama. And it does. There's finally progress in getting to a destination. Gus's group does make pit stops along the way, but they also make meaningful leaps and bounds that propel the narrative across an urgent and emotional journey. And for the storyline, it's good that there is more than one force that is creating this haste. Not only are Gus and pals just racing to get to where they believe the cure to the sick is, but there are ruthless villains hot on their tails. Literally, in the attempt to end the kids as well as discover the source of the sick that Gus is also headed towards. Now, I don't remember the other seasons being as violent as this one. Now, I do know that there was violence and even some dark themes that were carried out, but for this third season, it felt way more action-oriented, complete with the stabbings and shootings, even bitings that could accompany a mature violent series. This created both excitement but also peril because as much as I wanted all of Gus's group to survive, there were a bunch of situations where I couldn't be sure that that would actually be the outcome. Now, just as with the previous two seasons, this one has 8 episodes that are all around that 50-ish minute mark. Now, sometimes the acts feel long, but more regularly, the show uses its time efficiently to create a well-balanced narrative. Now, the makeup and any special effects, they look decent here, especially thanks to the fact that the cast of characters, especially the hybrids, it's relatively small. There isn't this large congregation of the kids like we saw in Season 2. Allowing the focus of the story to not be distracted by wonky visuals, instead putting the story arcs at the forefront. Now, even though the overall theme of the show has been somewhat melancholy, this season goes down a very dark path and then raises some existential questions that are going to stir emotions. The series includes social commentary within the narrative, but a lot of it is subtle, or at least less pointedly focused on one societal issue. Instead, it's taking a look at a broader aspect of humanity. And I appreciated that element, not only because I do enjoy good social commentaries, but more so because the relevance of the ideas that are addressed for us. And then to add to the dark tones of the story, not only are we continuing to watch the murderous pursuit of children, but we also now get to watch the parental weaponization of children against other children. Oof. Now, I know this isn't a unique thing to only this series, but it does add a wonderful layer of oppressiveness that takes this season just way into a more mature realm. And even the villains are more adult in nature, with menacing personas. We don't have that wannabe Dr. Robotnik like in the previous seasons. Instead, we have a treacherous and maniacal baddie who is ruthless on a whole nother level. So if you had watched earlier episodes and thought they were juvenile or silly, this season it still has moments of that, but the stakes are so much more impactful and dire. And these aren't simply small moments either that are inserted occasionally throughout the season. They're a major part of the narrative, adding to the tension, sometimes even dread. And I appreciate that while all of the tonal darkness is present, there are some moments of reprieve, allowing the characters, and then us as the audience, to enjoy something a little lighthearted, or at least sweet, before more gloom invades. Christian Convery and Nonso Anonsi, they continue to have an uplifting and encouraging relationship, with Convery as Gus still maintaining his wide-eyed optimism despite numerous setbacks and complications that he encounters. There's this moment that we get to watch him begin to understand that his naive and hopeful perception of the world, it's slipping away the farther he gets from his familiar surroundings. Now, the group visits an abandoned casino, and Gus's look after an interaction illustrates heartbreak and devastation through the pain of realization. And these types of expressions and growth moments, they're sprinkled throughout, sometimes in mild ways, other times through brutally harsh experiences. And it's kind of a shame that this is the final season, and maybe that's why this one is so much better than the last one. The writers, they're putting everything they have into the story to bring about a satisfying and hopefully earned conclusion. Now, I do think the events of the journey might be slightly accelerated, but they still flow naturally, choosing to end this drawn-out traipsing over landscapes in favor of progressing our characters across their environments to arrive at meaningful destinations, thankfully in a timely manner. So overall, if you've been a fan of the Sweet Tooth story, the third and final season chooses a darker and more mature themed narrative to showcase the dire nature of Gus's journey and what it could mean for humanity. The season increases the stakes, creating perilous situations for several characters and amping up emotional investment to craft engaging storylines. Much of the silliness of the previous seasons has been replaced with serious tones, risks, and villains, allowing the tale of Gus and his hybrid friends to captivate and conclude with a satisfying resolution. Less reliance on special effects allows the production to focus more on practical locations and convincing sets that create environments to test the mettle of the characters with a palpable real-world feel within this fantasy series. This was a surprising and worthy end to a mixed-bag show, showcasing endearing heroes and ruthless villains who are both on an urgent and emotional race that will bring about the extinction of one species or the other. The season packs in excitement, mild humor, thrilling pursuits, and violent exchanges, all told through the eyes of a decreasingly naive young hybrid who's intent on saving his friends. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and then a bunch of brutal violence. I give Season 3 of Sweet Tooth 3.5 out of 5 couches. So are you a fan of the series? Do you have a favorite character? Now for me, while I do really like Gus, Jep is the standout with his exasperation and devotion. Let me know yours, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.